Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today is December 5th. We've been off for a little bit, flying around, because we like airplanes and reward miles. But I don't feel like we use those. We just rack them up. I prefer Chick-fil-A points. That's just me. But anyway, welcome to the MSP Initiative, MSP Talk. We have been busy, and dizzy. So if you've been following us throughout the year, we talk about all these things that we end up, putting together, which include a lot of after hours activities at a lot of the big conferences that you all know and love. So if you were, let's think, Berlin with PAX Sapien, then we had Miami with DattoCon, and then we had IT Nation in Orlando, and then we had Sydney with another DattoCon. I think that pretty much closes out the year for us, other than now we're back to catching up on all the stuff. So if you were curious on how all this stuff went, head to our Facebook page at facebook.com/MSP Initiative, and you will see albums for every single party for the entire year. And there's probably some photos from Community Minds in both Denver and Nashville as well, and some of the earlier parties in the year. But before I get too deep into the call and we introduce our friend Jared, Jared apparently is a very big Commanders fan, formerly the Washington Redskins. So I couldn't help but bring my Eagles gear because I think right now, the way it's trending, the Eagles are not just going to win the NFC East division. I think they're going to be hosting the NFC playoffs in South Philadelphia this year. What do you think there, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are playing awfully good football right now. Saquon Barkley was a huge pickup. I'm a little bit jealous that you guys picked him up, but at the same time, I think the Commanders are going to give you a little run for your money. We see you guys one more time in December, so um, looking for a little redemption from our last time
Okay.
around.
All right. Rock on. We love a little interdivision rivalry. Like we know the Giants are implosion mode. They're probably in the top 5 picks now for the draft this upcoming year, right? And I guess after Dak Prescott went down and we don't, Dallas imploded, and I don't know what's going on down there. So it's definitely that is that Washington right now is in the playoffs. I believe as it stands right now, if the standings didn't change, it would be Philadelphia and Washington in the playoffs.
Yeah,
First round.
it's which let me tell you, as a long-suffering Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, fan, it is it is nice to see them actually looking a little bit like a football team. Although we still managed to find unique and impressive ways to lose, like we did at Dallas a couple weeks ago. So,
Well,
uh,
I think it all starts with a healthy and talented quarterback, which seems like that you do have that, which has been missing from Washington for some time. I for years have been knocking on Kirk Cousins, who has been stealing money since the second he got into this league. And this guy, by the way, here's a trivia question for you, Jared. You know how much money Kirk Cousins has collected to present day from the time he started in Washington until now? Do you have any idea how much money he's collected as a quarterback in the NFL?
it's going to be a lot. He's had a history of getting good contracts. So yeah, I don't know the dollar figure, but what is he, 8 years in the league now? So call it 30 million, 40 million.
30. How about 294 million?
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. Guys just laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah. Hey, look, he's doing something that's working for him. Captain Kirk, man.
What he's doing is he's not winning, but he's getting paid for it. Good luck down there in Atlanta, folks. But I digress. So welcome to the show, Jared Casner. Hopefully I said that right.
Yep.
From Blacksmith Infotech. I had not actually met Jared until I was on stage in front of, I don't know, 1,800 people in Orlando. And, Jared, you definitely caught me by surprise. All your posts have been, they gave me a microphone once. They're doing it again. Is this smart? Yeah, no argument. That was not what I expected when I handed you that microphone. Going to be honest.
Hey, look, you had never met us. Neither had any of the 1,800 people that were there met us or seen us before or heard of us, and so we had to do something to be memorable.
No, I got many text messages while I was up there saying, really? I was like, well, listen, I did not put any rules or restrictions. So they took their time and they used it as they saw fit. So definitely memorable, no question about it. Well, that was a fun time. What we're talking about was even though, by the way, as a guy who's come in from the MSP IT industry, that's my background. That's where I started, young guy in the sandbox, and now obviously, on the vendor side a little bit and on the community side. I never planned to be a professional artist wrangler. That was never part of my life, plans as what I wanted to be when I grew up. So, Flow Rider deciding to come out, when he felt like it, 30 minutes after he was supposed to start was not great. But when he did come out, man, was that a pretty good show. He put on an absolute, like masterclass on performing, just not on time.
Yeah. Hey, we don't they don't ask you how or when they I guess but at the end of the day, you're right. He put on a great show. I was honestly quite surprised. I forgot how many Flow Rider songs there were that I knew. It was pretty
So this
like
is part of like everybody has a process and a science to things, right? We'll talk about what you do in a little bit, but like when we plan a party like this, there's location science, right? Can't have it too far, right? This, that, and the other. When we're looking for an artist like this, part of this is, hey, what's the demographic of the people coming to this? What do they, what would they recognize, right? A couple years ago we had All American Rejects. Last year we had Better Than Ezra, Sugar Ray, and Tonic as a group. And so like the goal is like every group, most of them, they have like 2 or 3 songs that you would recognize, but then like what about the other time, right? Like that doesn't fill up an entire set, right? So when we go through these artists, other than costs and dates and can people actually be in certain places at certain times, it's would you actually be able to, like, part of the cool part of a concert is like the music, right? You're singing along, right?
oh yeah, singing, dancing, having a good time.
So yeah, he does have a lot of good, memorable songs. And obviously, apple bottom jeans and the boots and the fur, we all laugh about it. But there's a lot of good songs in there. And even Jen, who's behind the scenes here, I mean, she she said that's why I was Team Flow Rider since day one. Jen, who's behind the scenes pressing the buttons. She was one of the lucky people to get one of Flow Rider's signed sneakers that he threw out from the stage. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw her walking around with it and clutching it tight.
That
Holding
is
holding
her.
that.
That is her
Honestly,
trophy.
holding it tighter than Saquon holds the rock. Like, come
I
on.
think you're right. I think you're right. I think she has it like literally like as a trophy behind her on the shelf.
Yeah.
Precious cargo. She actually went and shipped it back to her house. Like went to UPS, was like, I need to ship this sneaker, and I think the guy was like, "Is there another sneaker, or is it just one? Or what's going on
You always
here?"
wonder how that you end up with one sneaker on the side of the highway. It's generally had one sign, so the other one went out the window.
Too funny. That was a great time. Hopefully everybody will remember that one for years to come. There are some off-air stories about this whole performance that I'll hold, but it is it is something that you live and you learn, and life experiences, right? This is how a lot of people learn, right? You don't learn from other people, you learn through your own life experiences. This one was interesting. At least I still will never forget 2 years ago, Jared, there was like a hurricane during IT Nation that shut down the Orlando airport, and we somehow still pulled off a party in the middle of all of this. So this one, the weather was great, thank God. No,
Yeah, I was just say we woke up that morning and I saw the pictures that Jen was posting in the field in front of Icon in front of the stage, and I was thinking, oh man, this is gonna be a muddy show. And it turned out it cleared up, it was dry, it was gorgeous. Yeah, it was awesome.
no,
And
that
then
was
90-minute set from Flo Rida was great.
and
Getting
so he actually did. He went over, like, he had a certain amount of songs he had planned to do. He did 4 more than he originally planned to do. So
awesome.
guess he wanted to make up for the 35 minutes late that he, I guess. But no, it was a great performance. And we have a signed sneaker behind the Jen to prove that it actually happened, and some pictures and some videos. So since that was the first time we met, and the first time you met a lot of these people in the IT MSP industry, why don't we hear a little bit about you? Tell us your history, your background. How did you start, and how did you get to where you're at now, like as Jared? And then maybe we
Yeah.
can figure out how that gets us to Blacksmith.
How far back do you want me to go?
I mean, went to school, and then what?
Yeah. Well, so honestly, I started off in IT when it was still like IT and I guess DevOps before it was DevOps. So I started off my career at Visa, pulling network cables, configuring servers, things like that. So like,
Really? Like the credit card company Visa.
yeah, and I at the time it was they were just moving into debit card processing. They just bought the Plus ATM network. I helped build out the first data center for the debit processing side of things back when it was the Visa check card because nobody
Oh
knew what
yeah.
a debit card was. Everything. So it was let's just wean people off of checks into debit with a check card. So I know hopefully the audience is old enough to remember that, that era.
I remember it.
Uh, but yeah, so that was where I got my start. Really wanted to write code though, so I moved into some consulting and spent a few years contracting for some of the three-letter agencies in the intelligence community. Um, got out of that because I don't know if you've ever done any work with the federal government, but we'll just say the pace of innovation is a little slow. So I moved into startup life and I've really never looked back. So it's been uh, almost 20 years now that I've been working for startups and progressively start smaller and smaller startups along the way. Um, Came out to San Francisco about 12 years ago and first started off with some AI companies back before AI was cool. Like now everything is AI today. Yeah. Now it's cool. This is kind of the story of my life, by the way. Like I was into D&D before D&D was cool. Now D&D is cool and like awesome. I was into computers before
I
computers
feel
were
like
cool.
things are coming back to being cool that were cool, right? Like the 90s are a big thing now, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure D&D was cool in the 90s, but it was a thing in the 90s. I got made fun of a lot for playing D&D in the 90s, but now it's cool. There's all kinds of celebrities doing the D&D
You
live
know,
streams,
like
but
being the smart, nerdy person is now like the thing, right? That wasn't
yeah,
the thing back in the day, but surely has shifted now.
yeah, it's a weird world we live in. But yeah, so anyhow, did the AI thing for a few years when I first moved to San Francisco, and then um, started what ended up becoming kind of my security and compliance journey, where I ran ran software engineering for a handful of fintech and health tech companies in the Bay Area. Every time I'd come into one of these organizations, I'd say, "All right, so what are we doing to secure social security numbers and health information and things?" Security, yeah, that's your responsibility. You go figure that out. That's why we hired you to run software. Okay, I guess I need to go learn security. That's so my co-founder Michael, I've known him for 30 some years now. We grew up together. He's been my phone a friend in the security space for a long time. And so the first time I had a customer call me and say, "Hey, we need you to have a SOC 2 report." And I had, "How do you spell SOC 2?" I'm looking at my feet. I've got two socks on. Is that close enough? No, not going to do the trick here. So anyhow, I called Michael and said, "Hey, you're a Visa, so tell me about SOC 2 and what I need to do." And so he kind of walked me through the process. Fast forward to about a year and a half ago, he was looking for work. His company, he was at a health tech company that filed Chapter 11. And he was the last man standing, asked to lock the doors and turn off the lights on his way out. I was ready for a change in my career also. And, as we're talking about our journey and where we wanted to go next, realized we were both going to end up building a security program from scratch again. And we said, and this sucks. Like we've done this way too many times in our lives, made all the poor life choices that ended up like nobody. I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people choose to go into security and compliance. It's like a series of poor life choices that kind of lead you down that path. And so here we are, and said, how do we never have to do this again? And so initially, honestly, we wrote some software for who we were 10, 15 years ago in our career, showed it to some friends, and the friend said, "Oh, that's actually really cool. Can we buy that?" Okay, sure. I guess we can turn this into a company. So we incorporated and started selling some software. And every one of our customers at the time, they get a certain, kind of 20, 30% of the way through things and say, "Well, we really need IT help. Let's get our MSP involved." We said, "Cool, get the MSP involved." And the MSP would get involved, and the MSPs looked at it and said, "Oh, this is a cool platform. How do I do this for the rest of my customers?" And so then we had to, what is an MSP? And this is the great thing about Google is like had to figure out what the MSPs were. And so this is about 9 months ago that we kind of shifted entirely into the MSP channel. So closed our first MSP, and we haven't really looked back. And so, why haven't you met me before? Because IT Nation was the first show that we really were at ever. And so again, this is why did you get to meet me there? Why did we do something stupid and rap about compliance on stage? Like nobody wants to hear about security or compliance before a Flow Rida concert. So let's find a way to have some fun with it.
Oh, hey, trust me, people remember you after that one for sure. Security and compliance, man. I mean, listen, you actually touch on number one. Your journey is really cool. You went from the credit card company that apparently everybody has to deal with to the government, who I agree, way slow, to startup, and now your own startup, which is awesome. I love that, and definitely entrepreneurism is alive and well here in the USA.
Yep.
As a guy who started a few companies myself, love that, and love people who are willing to put a little bit of time and risk out there in order for the upside. That's definitely a story I dig. Um, Security and compliance. I mean, listen, we hear a lot about security and probably more recently about compliance, only because different people in different industries are just having to deal with it, right?
Yep.
But security was the big markety term for a while until AI came out, which you mentioned earlier. And then now AI is like the new flashy, put AI in front of it or behind anything, and now all of a sudden we're cool. And it's like, but is it really AI, or are we just saying AI for the sake of AI? Bottom line is it's a thing. And I think that, for the last, let's just say 2020 till now, right? Like COVID, beginning right before COVID started till now, has been like, I would say if you were to go back and ask any 10 MSPs, 8 of the 10, 7 of the 10 will tell you that the majority of increase in revenue they've been able to generate in the last 4 years is under the banner security. All right. They've been able to go back to all their customers and say, hey, you don't have to believe me. Why don't you just pull up the news and look at the next guy? That could be you, right? Or hey, why don't you go into the Chamber of Commerce or your association, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, whatever your group is, and why don't you ask anyone if they've been wire frauded, or if they've had any sort of issue that cost them a lot of money that they weren't expecting, and all of a sudden they're like, well, if that Main Street guy could be you, that guy's next door, or that big headline guy could be you, if you're in the right situation, let's not make that be you, right? Let's just spend the money now to prevent that, right? And that was an easy path for a lot of MSPs to go back, convince their customers to invest, on the security side. So no question. Now, I will say, a lot of people walk down a lot of trade show floors, bought a lot of stuff with their credit card. Do they have an actual program? I think they just have a bunch of things that they put together. I can't tell you that they even totally know what they're doing, right? I think to some degree, they're relying on a lot of outside help, right? Just because they don't have the resources inside of their company to actually run a program on their own, which is the status quo for most MSPs. Like, some MSPs are bigger, most aren't, and they do not have the resources or the skill set in-house to do this, right? So when you said what's SOC 2 and you said what color socks do I have on, that's what they're saying now, right? You just had that journey earlier in the process. So, by the way, as somebody who's looked at what it costs to go through SOC 2, and I know depending on your size, that could be a widely varying thing. It is not a small thing. It is a time-consuming and expensive thing. And by the way, SOC 2 is great, but when you start going into industries, and you came from government land, right? Like CMMC, or some of these other things, right? Like, a lot of MSPs, I think, took business from everywhere because when you're starting a company, you'll take any business from anywhere, right? That's fair, right?
Yeah.
And then problem is that they were never verticalized, right? They just took anyone who needed technology help. And now when we come to the word compliance, Jared, that is not a cheap and simple thing to cover at this point.
But I would like to change that, right? That's why we're in business, actually, is to make it easier for companies, whether they go all the way through the audit process to become fully compliant with SOC 2, because with SOC 2 you have to have the third-party attestation, or they're just looking at it as, hey, we're going to start, and I treat it like a 401k in a lot of ways, right? If you wait till you're 60 years old to start putting money into your retirement account, guess what? You're going to spend a lot of money trying to play catch up to get a nest egg that works well
Yeah.
for you. At the same time, if you start when you're 22, putting small amounts of money in, it's going to compound over time. That value, the total cost of ownership of your retirement account is going to be way less. And so it's the same sort of thing with compliance, right? If you start investing early, you start putting the right processes in place, you start thinking about security and compliance, not for the sake of checking boxes to make a customer happy, but because it's the right thing to do for your customers, for yourselves. It's about minimizing risk and investing in yourself and your business. Guess what? It's going to pay dividends over time, and your total cost of ownership for that compliance program is going to go way down. And sort of to your point, right? We see this all the time with companies that say, um, "Well, hey, I've got my EDR solution. I've got I installed antivirus. I turn on MFA, whatever, right? Why do I need to have a security program? Okay, well, why are you doing those things? Well, my security guy told me to, or my cousin's nephew, whatever, like told me I have to do this stuff. Cool, but if you're doing it without a plan and you're just throwing darts at the dartboard, there's some things that are obviously going to make your life easier and safer. But if you think about it as a plan and kind of sort of structuring things and kind of working through it a little bit more categorically or systemically, guess what? You're gonna end up with a much better result in the end that is
Yeah.
about managing the risk for your organization, that is solving the problems that you actually have. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we was on a call with a customer yesterday or prospect yesterday. They said, well, what do we need to do to be HIPAA compliant? So we started walking through some HIPAA compliance things. And they said, well, what about X, Y, and Z? Do we have to do those to be HIPAA compliant? And we said, time out. You seem to be wanting to do the bare minimum required to be HIPAA compliant, which
Of
don't get me
course.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I get it. There's costs, there's all these things. I totally get that. Let me ask the question a little bit differently, right? So the thing that you're asking about is not actually required for HIPAA compliance. What you're asking about though is about good, like rational processes for your business. You mentioned wire fraud, right? This is exactly the type of thing. Security and compliance is not just about the IT side of things. It's about the entire organization. How do you manage risk broadly, right? And so if you're thinking about it just from a how do I make sure somebody doesn't hack my computer, you're probably missing a trick because at the end of the day, it's the people that are the weakest link. And so if you're giving them the ability to shoot themselves in the foot because you're not putting in multi-factor authentication, and multi-factor authentication goes beyond just, do I have to click a button on my phone or enter a code from Google Authenticator, right? It's if I'm starting a wire transfer, do I have a check on that says, you got Jen in the background, George. If you're starting a wire transfer to pay a creditor and Jen's not there or somebody else isn't there to say, yep, I agree with that. Guess what? You get one bad text message that you're like, oh, I'm sure that's the right wire information and send it. Right? It's about checks and balances. It's about making sure that you've got these good, smart thought processes involved in how you run your business so that you can keep yourself safe.
No, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, trying to take something very complex and deliver it to a non-technical person is a gift. Okay. Some people are really good at it. Most people are not. And so when you're going to a doctor, a lawyer, architect, CPA, and like they're literally running their business, they're in it. They're the people
Yep.
doing the work. You try and explain to them why they got to spend this not small amount of money in order to do these things. And they're like, hey, that's the difference between me taking my family on vacation or me doing what you're asking me to do. Why am I doing this? Like, this is what we're talking about for a lot of people, right? But just like car insurance, you hope to have it so that when you have an accident, you're covered. When you don't, oops, it's a bad day, right? So unfortunately, a lot of people are finding out the hard way that's a bad day. And we used to think that small businesses, Jared, like we're too small for the bad guys to concentrate on. I feel like it's inverted now where they're the easiest people to go after with the least amount of effort. So that's what they do.
Yeah, there's that crappy old joke. Two guys are out in the woods. One of them, they run into a bear. One of them bends down to tie his shoes. The other one says, "Hey, why are you tying your shoes? You can't outrun the bear." I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you, right? And so again, it's that low hanging fruit, right? Uh, the adage hackers don't care about my business. You're right. They don't care about your business, which means they're just going out there, the spray and pray approach. And when they find something that they can pick at, oh, let me just pick at this a little bit. Oh, I can get in. Guess what? Next thing you know, you've been ransomware. And it's how much money do I think I can extract from your business? Because I don't care whether your business succeeds or fails, right? If you don't pay me, no skin off my like you're already compromised. There's nothing you can do once I've ransomwared you. Like game over. And so either you pay me and I undo the work that I did, or you don't. Either way, like it's no skin off my back kind of thing, right? Um, And so you're right. They don't care about the size of the business. And honestly, if I get $1 million out of you or $1 million, like in fact, my chances of getting $1 million out of the small business and their cyber insurance paying up for that is a lot higher than trying to get $1 million out of a Bank of America that's spending, something like $750 million a year on cybersecurity, right?
So, 100% agree with you. Let's say we're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, we're all reading the same book, we're all on the same page. What is your program doing? What is your platform doing? What is your service doing that they can't get somewhere else? Or are you delivering it in a way that's more cost effective? Or how is it being delivered that the MSP is looking at this saying, well, hey, I should go down this road versus this road?
Yeah, great question. We have tried to take a paint by numbers approach to compliance, right? You can go out there and you can hire the Bob Ross who's going to paint the picture for you. You can go out and hire and watch Bob Ross on PBS and kind of get something that maybe looks like what Bob Ross is painting, or you can take ours. It's like off the shelf canned approach and has the paint by numbers and says, all right, first do this and then do this, and you're going to fill in this box with a blue color and right and like make it as easy as possible for people. The other analogy we use is like bowling with the bumpers up, right? You bowl with the bumpers up, you're gonna do pretty well, and your score is gonna be a lot higher, right? And it's the same kind of idea. And so that's really the philosophy that we have baked into our product from day one is number one, it needs to be accessible so that anybody can approach this. And then number two, it needs to be affordable because we have been too many times at small businesses and startups where, to your point, the CEO says, I don't want to spend money on that. Like, why would I? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're not gonna they're not gonna hack me. Or, hey, Jared, I have you. What you're telling me that you've written secure code. That's awesome. Like, why do I need to worry about this stuff? Well, okay, well, because there's whether even if I believed that I was writing bug-free code, which I don't, even if I believed that I was writing perfectly secure code, which I don't, um, like there's still other factors in the business that are not IT related that are also part of this risk program and part of the compliance journey. And so, let's think about this more holistically and make this as easy as possible for people to have those risk conversations.
Hmm. So, all right, MSP comes to you and says, Blacksmith, are you offering compliance as a service? Like, do the components that I'm already using for security, like if I already use a SOC vendor, if I'm already using a specific EDR tool, if I'm already using some log collection SIEM platform, like what does that mean to you?
Yeah, great. Please bring all those because we're not doing any of that. Right? So we are the bucket that we fit into there, or the category that I think everybody in the MSP space sees us as is compliance as a service. We think about it more as a security program in a box, really, because again, we're giving the all the tools and sort of taking the Microsoft approach where it's like the 80% solution across the entire stack. But again, we're not doing the EDR. We're telling you the what, not the how. Right. So it's we're going to tell you make sure you have your endpoints protected. Okay, well, guess George, you're the expert. You know what which EDR solution to protect endpoints for your customers is best for you and your stack. I don't want to tell you which one to use, and I'd be a doing a disservice to all of the EDR vendors out there if I tried to pick a favorite because there's a lot of really good ones out there. Same thing with your SOC service and your SIM service and whatever, right? Whatever you're using across the stack. Please bring all of those in. We're telling you here are the things that you need to do in order to be compliant with SOC 2, HIPAA, CMMC, 800, 171. You pick your framework and we're going to give you the what. It's up to you to then go and figure out how to do that. And again, that's where the value of the MSP relationship really comes for us. And again, this is why all of our when we started off direct to business, every one of them we told them, hey, go do this thing, and they turn on MFA. I can do that. That's easy. And then beyond that, it's I need a firewall. I need an endpoint protection. Like, can I just use Norton antivirus? No, we can't use Norton antivirus. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Like some people are using it and happy with it. Like more power to you. I don't want to dog any vendors out there. Like great. By all means, use the thing that you think is going to reduce the risk properly for your business. But there are some really cool next
All
generation.
right, so you log into this platform, you say, I'm interested in this particular framework, right? Let's call it framework, whether it's
Yep.
NIST or CIS or you said SOC 2, HIPAA. What I'm sure there's others I'm missing, right? but yeah, just throwing out the
We
one.
could be listing frameworks for the next hour.
Okay,
So
cool. You got a bunch of frameworks on the list. You click on it, and then you start giving them a workflow to follow. It sounds like.
yeah, it's essentially, so the workflow is, and I'm going to oversimplify compliance for you, right? And I apologize to all of your listeners out there who are compliance experts and are going to just cringe in there, but compliance boils down to say it, do it, prove it, right? That's like the simplest way to think about it, right? So say it is your policies and your procedures. These are the things that you are doing like you're saying that you're going to do. You're going to have strong password policies. You're going to have endpoint protection. You're going to have logs and log retention and data backups and recoveries and things like that. So that's your say it. The do it is the actual implementation, right? It's actually installing these on the devices and having your RMM go out and configure all of the different endpoints and making sure everything is set up and secure. And then the prove it is when the auditor comes through and says, all right, show me the evidence that George's device has his hard drive is encrypted and that he's taken a security awareness training. And right, that's the prove it side of things. And so um, on the say it side, we help you write the policies. And so again, if you've got 10 clients that each have their own unique thing, great. Like multi-tenancy, table stakes, right? So you come in for each of your clients, you're going to say, all right, BVoIP needs X, Y, and Z, and MSP Initiative only needs NIST CSF, and Blacksmith is a software company, so we need to make sure we have SOC 2, and right. So each of your clients is going to get their own frameworks that they care about. We're going to help you write those policies in minutes. Again, with the idea of this is paint by numbers, so you're going to go through, you're going to answer a handful of questions and get policies, and that's the say it side of things. Then you get to the do it. And so this is where we just make it as easy as possible to collect evidence across the board so that you can track your user audits and you can make sure that you're managing your risk program and you can actually check off your compliance tasks and get that full roadmap that says, all right, now that you've said it, here are the things that you just said you're going to do, go do them. And we're prioritizing them for you, making it as easy as possible. So now you can treat this as an IT project. So you get both the MRR from a compliance program that you're managing on behalf of your customer. And then you get the NRR, the non-recurring revenue from all the project work. That's like, hey, remember when we said you needed to do X, Y, and Z? Guess what? Here's some more evidence that you need to do that. And here's the risk associated with not doing it. And all that stuff is kind of baked into the platform to make it really easy for your sales team to go out and sell that non-recurring revenue into your clients. And then all that evidence collection is baked into the platform. So you can when the auditor comes along, you can say, oh, great, let me show you George's profile and where George has acknowledged his policies and completed his training and all of that stuff is right there. I've got a single pane of glass for George. Oh, you want to look at my Microsoft and how I'm managing that? Great. Here's the evidence about Microsoft and from when I did my user audits and how that process worked and kind of the workflow baked into that user auditing. So that's really sort of the way to think about it.
That's awesome. So is this more of a self-service approach, or do you have like a pro services model where you can actually help do some of this, or how is this designed?
Yeah, it is designed to be more self-service, and really that we are moving more and more towards that self-service model and away from the pro serve. We bootstrap the business, and which means we're doing some pro services today, but trying very hard to get out of that pro serve model because that again, the experts are at the MSP from an IT standpoint. We want to lean on the experts from the IT side and focus more. Let us be the compliance experts so that you can be the IT experts and partner together.
That's fair. And then is there any sort of integration tie-in where some of the evidence collection part, I guess, is some of it's logging, some of it's, like anything that can be, tied in, is it possible, or how does that work?
Yeah, today we don't have a whole lot of the integrations. Those are all coming, and I say soon with an asterisk here. It's all partner driven. So as people come, as MSPs come to us and say, you know what, I really need to make this like we're success to go that next step, right? So that's where we're driving a lot of our integrations. So today it's really about the ConnectWise integration and being able to build the projects, and it's about monetizing the compliance program. We are very quickly shifting from the monetization side into the how do I make this easier to run long term? And so it's more of that operational efficiency is kind of the next level of the evolution here.
Got it. Understand. So the integration that has been built is so that you kick off this workflow and it'll go into ConnectWise, and it'll create a project and put all your steps in and put all the time expectations in and like build that whole program out.
Yeah, it gives you that entire project, the phased out project plan for you, ready to go. So now your IT project manager and a level 2 tech can move somebody into a compliant state.
That's cool. That's awesome. So this is like, how long have you been in MSP land doing this, and how many partners do you think you have right now?
Yeah, we're 9 months into the MSP journey. We started very slowly, and honestly, again, we joke that we learned how to spell MSP about 9 months ago when we signed our first MSP. Whereas like, and we've worked with MSPs in the past, in our past, like because we were too small to have IT teams ourselves. But it had never thought about and honestly never even knew that the channel existed. This is like this weird, magical, wonderful place that is very new to us, and we are absolutely loving. And it's been honestly just that's been maybe the most fun piece of this is getting to meet everybody in the channel and getting deeper in that. Anyhow, so we started slowly in the MSP space because we needed to learn and we needed to make sure what we were building for MSPs was actually what MSPs wanted and not just like, oh, we're going to slap multi-tenancy on and call it MSP friendly. No, like we needed to actually understand what MSPs need to be successful. And so um, that's we've been kind of slowly moving our way into the MSP space. We've got about a dozen MSPs on the platform today, which is not where we'd like to be, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure that it was the slow growth that gave us an opportunity to bring things in and learn along the way. And we've we will be a lot further along very quickly here. We've got a bunch of prospects in the pipeline because of IT Nation, because of the MSP Initiative block party, right? These things have helped.
I hope people are like, man, that was an epic rap. I need to go
Yeah.
talk to these guys.
Yeah. Look,
No, that's
if people
cool.
don't buy because of our rap, then why are they even talking to us?
No, hey, listen, everybody's had to start somewhere. It's a great
Yeah.
time to be in the MSP industry for sure. And as somebody servicing the MSP, community, there's a lot of upside for sure. How is your program structured from a cost basis? Is MSP versus the MSP's customer? Like, how do you structure your program?
Yeah, we are a sell through, not a sell to. So, and that's part of honestly been part of our challenge from a sales standpoint is learning how not just to sell the MSP on why it's important because I think the MSPs all get it. It's okay. It's great that I understand it, but I can't. My customers don't want to pay for this. They don't, right? And so that's been the next piece of it for us. And so we are about to launch a sales toolkit for MSPs so they can go out and make their lives easier to sell when it comes to the compliance side of things. So that's coming very soon. And my marketing team will hopefully be not cringing as I say that here, since a lot of the work is on them. But yeah, so the sales toolkit is coming very quickly here. But yeah, because we're a sell through, it's uh, honestly it's a low monthly fee for the MSP and it's on a per client basis. This goes back to my own what's near and dear to me. I want it to be accessible and it's got to be affordable, right? And so that's we price it at a low enough price point that any small business in America can afford to pay for it. It's like stupid simple, stupid affordable, with the idea that really where you're going to make your margin as an MSP is not in the value of the software, but in the value that you're adding on top of that because you're bringing the expertise, because you're bringing the IT know-how and being able to actually implement this for a customer. That's where all the margins are coming from for the MSP. And then, by the way, we also give an NFR license for the MSP so they can manage their own internal security program. Because guess what? If your clients are being asked about a SOC 2 or compliance programs, they're going to be asking you for where your compliance is and what the status of your compliance program is. Oh, yeah, guess what? Got to have that too.
No, that's absolutely 100% fair. That's great. I mean, so everybody loves free stuff as long as they do something with it. So that MSP gets an NFR, great. Affordable, program. Any small business in America should be able to afford it. Awesome. Love to hear that. Music to my ears. And then, upside is all the work that needs to be done in order to make sure that you can progress down the workflow is all technology work, right? Or a lot of it is. So that means MSP is doing a lot of project-based work in order to actually get there.
Yeah, and again, it's about managing risk. And so one of the things that really helps for an MSP is that we're giving you the tools to become that strategic partner and think about or help your customers think about how they're managing risk across the organization and not just in the IT and security side of things. And what makes you stickier to a customer? The fact that you can implement the RMM tool which they don't even know or care about, or the endpoint protection, which they're never even going to notice is running. If you're picking the right endpoint protection, is they're never even going to notice is running on their system, or being the strategic partner that's actually helping them make better business decisions and drive right. Like they want a partner. They if IT is commoditized, or at least in their mind is commoditized, you're not very sticky because they can just go to their when their cousin graduates from college or high school or whatever and says, I can do that IT thing for you. They're like that. We need to make the MSP not be that commodity good that's just selling IT services, but it is actually selling a managed service that is creating value for for their customers. So it's not just a cost center; it's also a value center.
No, fair. 100%. I agree with you. That's cool. I'm glad that, like this is number one, I love seeing new businesses pop up. I'm a fan. I've done it. It's, the beginning
Yeah,
part of any new business is equally frustrating but exciting at the same time, I
yeah,
feel. So, I mean, the inverse of that is you go into corporate America, big companies move slow, red tape. I guess it depends on what you like and what you don't like. But I digress. Or the government, for that matter, who moves even slower and he has even more
yep.
red tape. But no, MSP land's exciting. I'm excited for you. You're coming at a time in the industry where things are, way more mature now than they were when I first got involved. That's for sure. So it's bigger. There's more people involved. It's a little bit more formalized. These are all good things. This is not a small topic. And I think that there's definitely more awareness now in 2024 than there was in prior years about the compliance part of it. How much gets outsourced versus how much is done in-source has really been, I think, the question. I guess
Yep.
the third question is how much have you ignored and just not done anything? But that back to your 401k analogy, that hurts you in the end, right? Because you end up paying a lot more then than you do now. So I agree with you there. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I would say, if your goal, like we're December 5th, 24, if I had to fast forward 12 months from now, December 5th, 25, how many partners are you forecasting? If you were to have it your way, how many MSPs would you like to have on your platform?
So our target for 2025 is to have 100 MSPs on the platform by the end of the year. So
Okay.
we're looking to very rapidly accelerate from where we are today. And it's again, we have gone all in on the channel and are excited about it. And so the wrap that you saw a couple weeks ago is not the last you
It's
will hear from
recorded.
us.
It's recorded. It's online.
The internet never forgets either. And it's funny. So I'm pretty active at my kids' school also, George. So, went on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so I was at drop off for school like a couple days after this. And I heard some of the moms talking about that. And some woman in the crowd yelled, "Take it off," as we unzipped our hoodies. And so they're talking about this. And I heard one of them says, "Wait, this was at a PTA event?" I said, "No."
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Like I said, you definitely made a splash. I think that's what you're after. You were in the right place at the right time for the right people for sure. Hopefully the moms in line aren't, got it straight, and it wasn't at a
Yeah,
PTA.
we got it all sorted out. I am under strict orders to at the next PTA meeting to come out with some sort of PTA related rap. So I'll have to think about that a little bit. I am not a good rapper. Like I think we all learned that pretty quickly. So
Funny. So between now and the next PTA meeting, we'll have to see how. Well, when is that? Oh, now I'm gonna look it up. At least for the regular season, the Commanders and the Eagles next meet in Washington because they already came to Philadelphia.
yeah,
So let's see. Pulling up the schedule now.
December 22nd, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to. It's not that far. It's only a couple weeks out. No, yeah, 22nd, week 16. Yep, Sunday,
Yep.
1 o'clock. Okay. So you'll have your next PTA wrap figured out, and then we'll know whether the Eagles and the Commanders are going to be. Yeah, at that point, it will be like the last couple weeks of the season. We'll see what the playoffs look like, my friend.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, I'm a long-suffering Commanders fan here, and I'm not holding any. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath that they managed to finish out the season the way they started the season. It's like I would love to see it. I've been enjoying the hell out of this season. It's been so much fun to watch, and even those couple of games where we've like found unique and creative ways to win, like we did at in Dallas.
I think there's so for whatever it's worth, new quarterback, not a book out on him, new coaching team, don't know what the playbook's going to be, right? So you get the element of surprise in the beginning of all of that, right? Then, like what happened to the Eagles, right? They didn't change their playbook from one year to the next. They have a book on you. You either have to refresh it or you're in trouble, right? Because people can
Yep.
see tendencies and patterns and all that jazz. All that being said, talent on the field makes, is important. I think you guys definitely overperformed in the beginning of the season. Not a bad thing, but it's a whole season, right? We got to get to the end, then we got a new season in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. I think in Philadelphia, for whatever it's worth, we're a little bit confused that the current ownership group of the Sixers is also the current ownership group of the New Jersey Devils, is also the current ownership group of the Washington. Like this
Yeah.
cross city thing is not normal for us.
No, it's not normal for any of us here.
But I guess
Yeah.
Daniel Snyder was not well received, so anything was better. I heard.
Yeah. Getting that man out of the organization was just a unadulterated good thing. So
Okay, hold on. I got a couple questions for you on the topic. Then they're talking about changing the name either to something else or back. So I guess the back would be the Washington football team or the Redskins. What's your opinion?
I doubt that it ever goes. And in fact, the organization has pretty clearly said it's not going back to the Redskins, although the logo might come back to the old Redskins logo, which I think would be pretty cool. I hate the Commanders. It's like all I can think about is let's go commies, right? Which does not fly very, especially with a red. Anyhow, like
I'm with
the
you. I hear
yeah.
you.
So uh, personally, I would be much hugely in support of even the Washington football team coming back. But I think there's some talk about maybe going back to the old RFK Stadium, revamping that, and bringing them back into DC proper, which I think would be a great change for the organization. Um, I missed the games at RFK. Those were a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, the new stadium is, it's part of a huge part of the valuation of any team is the stadium. So I would love to see whether they build a new one or something, right? Like I would love to see a new stadium for the Commanders. That FedEx Field stinks.
Yeah, and it's not even that old. It was
I
never
feel like
that
I feel like
good.
they took the old stadium model and they just put concrete into it and they just dropped it. Like
Yeah.
they didn't. I don't know why the look and feel and just like the old school circle bowl thing. I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, so I lived in Denver for a long time, and the old Mile High to the new Mile High, like the old Mile High was a great stadium and was super loud, but the new Mile High looks and feels like a great stadium, and so when to go the DC area, having going from the RFK that had such a great like character to it to FedEx was hard. I got to tell you, I'm like the 49. I'm in San Francisco now. The 49ers stadium, the new one is like it's
Levi's, yeah.
so far out of San Francisco, and it's beautiful, but it's also kind of a weird feel to it. It doesn't have like the old Oakland Coliseum had like character. I never managed to get to a Niners game at Candlestick, but anyhow, that's
Well, I never made it to Candlestick either. I got to make it to Levi's. It's been open for a little bit now. I've obviously here in the Northeast, but I think I've been to like 18 or 19 of the 29 NFL stadiums. So I still got a few more to go there, but I've actually been back to like, old Giant Stadium, new Giant Stadium, old Dallas Stadium, new Dallas Stadium, hopefully old Redskins Stadium, new Redskins. Yeah. We'll
yeah.
see. But yeah, definitely the vet in Philadelphia had plenty of character. Probably not the character that we love, people regurgitating for 40 years later with Snowballs and Santa Claus. I wasn't even alive.
Snowballs batteries? Come on, man.
I mean, I wasn't even alive for the snowballs. But the batteries, yeah, I guess I was alive for that. But yeah, the new Lincoln Financial Field is definitely and funny enough, people forget that the Pittsburgh Stadium, Heinz Field at the time, and Lincoln Financial Field got opened like literally within 12 months of each other. So fun times here in Pennsylvania, but we will see. I will maybe I'll have to make you a fun wager as we get closer to that game. We'll see how things are going.
Yeah, well, we can find something fun to do. That would yeah. I'm totally down for something.
Not a wrap though. We'll have to do something else.
I'm looking forward to you rapping. Come on.
Oh no, you don't want
I
me
mean,
to
you're
rap.
West Philadelphia born and raised, right?
But everybody knows that song and it's hit. That's about it, right? Like I don't know if I qualify that as rap. I think that's more
I don't think it qualifies as rap, but yeah.
hip hop, I guess.
Yeah.
Good old Will Smith there in the Fresh Prince. All right, my friend. Well, where can people find more information about you, Blacksmith, the MSP program, how to get in touch, maybe check things out, talk to somebody?
Yeah, blacksmithinfosec.com is probably the easiest way. We've got a book a demo button. You can go ahead and actually sign up for a 30-day free trial right from our website. So jump on in and start kicking around if you're one of the tinker type of MSPs and want to just play with the system. But yeah, if you'd rather talk to us and kind of walk through the system, happy to book a demo, and would love to talk to anybody.
Yep, 100%. Awesome. Well, we will see you on the other side of the new year. Hopefully, between now and then, with lots of stuff going on. But happy holidays to you and the team over there, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Sounds great. Thanks, George. Happy holidays to you and your team as well, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. For everyone else, the session was recorded. I'm sure you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on your podcatcher or on mspinitiative.com under sessions. We are doing these until the end of the year, and then we pick back up after the new year. So stick with us as we're now off the road, and we'll talk more about fun things. Catch you later, everyone.
Thanks.